This is, I think, I can't tell why I want to do this exercise. I can't tell if I want to do it to just survey the landscape or to drive home the point that, like, yo, this isn't going to be enough.
Right.
So let's talk about it.
So
Starting
real
lineup.
quick, are we talking about what we think the Kings rotation would be, or what we would want the Kings rotation to be?
What we think it would look like.
So put ourselves in Mike Brown's brain.
Yeah.
Because I want Malik Monk to start, but I don't think Mike is going to start.
I don't think so either.
So
okay, you're doing a prediction. You're betting money on what it's going to look like.
Understood.
With his roster. Okay. De'Aaron Fox.
Yes. Duh.
Keon Ellis.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you. Keegan.
Yep.
Harrison Barnes still at the 4. Domas at the 5.
Correct.
Cool. We run it back.
It's the same.
We're running it back. Perfect. Malik Monk.
First one off the bench.
First off the bench.
Yep.
Then Trey Lyles.
Probably.
Okay. Devin Carter next or Kevin Huerter next?
I'm going to say Kevin Huerter specifically because he's not a rookie.
Okay.
But I do think there's hesitancy with Mike always to play Kevin, and I don't know how Kevin fits.
Okay, but I also think that you might have to go Kevin Huerter earlier to get some size on the court.
Potentially.
Because if you're going Carter first and you've got like Fox, Monk, and Carter all at once, I think you're giving up a lot of size at the 3.
I do agree, except Mike found a lot of success with 3-guard lineups at the end of last season, so that's something he might stick with, but I understand what you're saying. Okay. I do have hesitancy and belief of Kevin's ability to play the 3 or play any role within the Kings' new system, period, off the bench.
I'm with you, dude. I
don't think he makes sense.
That's where the hang up for me is right now. Alex Len would then be getting some minutes.
I think so.
And right now, like, Jalen McDaniels just doesn't factor in for me.
No.
I don't think he.
Jalen's out. Chris Duarte's out.
Yep.
Kessler is still out.
Yep.
I think this is a max 9-man rotation, and Alex Len and Carter are probably some combination of
like
8-9.
matchup based.
Right.
Yeah. I like Kevin Huerter, and I think he can go to a team and help, and I think he has trade value. When I talk about trading Kevin Huerter, it's not like, just get rid of him.
No, he's got value.
Yes,
100%.
And there's been reporting that like the Bulls think highly of him. I can't remember. Was it Amick? Somebody wrote in The Athletic. I don't want to put a name on it because I can't remember exactly who it was, but wrote that like Kevin Huerter has value in front offices around the league.
Absolutely.
Like, this is a guy people know can shoot. We know he can rebound.
Huerter is an elite shooter in a modern NBA that prioritizes shooting.
Spot up shooter, movement shooter.
He can shoot, and he when he gets cold, he gets cold. But when he's hot, he's a flamethrower where he can shoot 50% from 3 for a month. Like he did that in Sacramento.
Correct.
So he is an absolute flamethrower shooter. He 100% has value, and he's on a super team-friendly contract for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Kevin Huerter has value. You're not just dumping him to get rid of him. You're holding on to finding a deal with decent value. I'm just talking about Kevin Huerter's fit towards where the Sacramento Kings are trying to go. It does not make sense, and we've been heading on that road to a breakup for the last year.
Yeah, man, and that's the, I think more than anything, I think basketball-wise, you can find a fit. If you absolutely had to have Kevin Huerter in your lineup, I think you could start him, and then I think you could mess around with Keon Ellis and De'Aaron Fox and Devin Carter and figure out enough ways to limit what he has to do defensively and feel okay about it. But I also don't think that you want to mess with your entire rotation just to make sure that Kevin Huerter can get on the court for 20 minutes a night.
Correct. And what does his role look like? If it's a volume 3-point shooter coming off the bench, I'm interested. But if you're going to play him at the 3, he's going to get targeted defensively the same way that he gets targeted every time he's on the floor. As soon as Kevin Huerter's on the floor, teams make it a priority to go right at him regardless of who he's guarding. That's why we saw these guys that Kevin Huerter was being switched on being the primary offensive focus to start games. The Kings were getting scored on by the 3rd or 4th best player in the starting lineup repeatedly to open up games on a nightly basis because that's the guy that Kevin Huerter was guarding.
Yep.
And it's not, I mean, here's the thing about Kevin. He works his ass off.
He does.
He's a hard worker.
Absolutely.
He doesn't complain. He puts his head down. He is just not the same way I am incapable of doing the job on the basketball floor that these professional athletes do. I cannot do it. I don't think Kevin can defend at the NBA level to what the Sacramento Kings expect. I just don't think he has it in him to do it.
Well, I don't know if it's beyond what, maybe it's short of what the Kings expect for sure, but I think Kevin Huerter defensively is probably fine if you have an elite rim protector.
Right.
If he's on the Timberwolves, like here's a good I think the Timberwolves are a perfect example because you plug him into Minnesota. Now he is a legit, as we said, 3-point shooter, one of the best shooters in the league. He is a legit 3-point shooter, and on defense, when he gets beat, you have the 4-time DPOY behind him to erase whatever. Yeah. And now all of a sudden he's a super valuable player for Minnesota.
Right.
In fact, I think Minnesota should trade for Kevin Huerter. Anthony Edwards for Kevin Huerter should get it done. Personally, I think that's a deal the Kings should do.
But here, I'll just kind of put a bow on this too. Like,
please
help me. When you are emphasizing defense the way that Mike Brown is, and you're trying to improve defensively, if you continue to give Kevin Huerter playing time, and again, he's an NBA caliber player. He's not the worst defender in the league. He's 100% an NBA caliber player that can help the Sacramento Kings 100%. But the more you improve defensively and the more you get guys around Kevin Huerter to buy in defensively and live up to the expectations of Mike, if Kevin's not able to meet that, as the team gets better defensively, the weakness becomes more glaring, and that's what teams are going to continue to attack and go right after. We saw that last season. As the Kings defensively started to get better, Keon was getting more playing time. Even Malik was doing some good things on the defensive end. Malik got targeted from time to time too. It wasn't just Kevin. But it was obvious, blatantly obvious, nightly to start the game. The scouting report was find Huerter and go at him. Because sometimes Kevin could make a play. He wasn't just a revolving door. But the majority of the time, Kevin could not stay in front of the 2 and 3 threes that he was defending. And that's the speed of the NBA. He just wasn't able to keep up.
Yeah. I think he gets moved for sure.
I think so too. I think the writing's been on the wall.
And now, and I guess this was the point of the exercise. So you and I are in agreement that he's probably in the rotation, but also, hey, here's the other thing. I don't even know that he would take a bench role. I don't know that he would what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know that he would persevere through that. Because I'm of the belief, and I could be wrong, I'm not inside the guy's head, but it sure seems like, based on how last year went, that Chris Duarte getting potential burn as a starter in the preseason just derailed Kevin Huerter for the entire year.
It rattled him, for
sure. I don't know that if the Kings look at what they have now and they go, yeah, hey, Kevin, you're going to play. What in the world? My phone was vibrating. I was trying to figure out what that noise was. They're saying, hey, you're going to play 15 minutes a night off the bench. You're going to play in a few 3-minute spurts. Go out there and knock down some shots. I don't know that he would be able to.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think when we kind of look at this rotation with the starting 5, with Keon at the 2, Malik Monk is your 6th man, Trey Lyles coming off the bench, Devin Carter coming off the bench. Like, again, that glaring weakness is like, man, they need wing depth.
Yeah.
And whether it's Harrison Barnes coming off the bench with a different starter at the 4, whether it's Kyle Kuzma or whoever, or it's Dorian Finney-Smith or Cam Johnson in that Kevin Huerter spot, where now they're the wing depth coming off the bench, preferably both of them.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But I think it's just, no matter how you package it, it's like, dude, they just need to. They need size.
They need to. And it goes even beyond the Kevin Huerter dilemma. It goes to, like, you lost to one NBA team 6 times during technically without playoff.
That's crazy.
And it's because of matchups. Like, look, the Pelicans could not beat the Los Angeles Lakers. The Sacramento Kings swept the Los Angeles Lakers. The Pelicans beat the holy you-know-what out of the Sacramento Kings 6 times. And it has everything to do with wing depth and physicality. Now, the Kings got significantly better playing physical basketball over the course of the year, and De'Aaron Fox talked about this at his basketball camp that I was at a couple weeks ago, and De'Aaron brought up the officiating. Like, officials kind of allowed them to play more physical the second half of the season, and the Kings ended up thriving in that. Because remember, early in the season, the Kings had back-to-back games against the Houston Rockets. De'Aaron Fox didn't play because he was out injured. That had something to do with it. But the Rockets just muscled Sacramento in those games.
That was tough to watch.
Beat the crap out of them. And Sacramento was not ready or capable to play with that level of physicality that we saw at the end of the season. The Kings were not allowing themselves to get pushed around. And in fact, at the end of the season, they were doing some of the pushing. But a 6'2" dude can only push a 6'9" guy so much.
Sure.
And when the Kings are as bad as they were on the perimeter defensively, when defending the 3-point shot, it was not for a lack of trying. They were trying and working hard and scrambling, scramble drills, close out. They were doing everything they possibly could. But I've been hitting this nail on the head over and over and over again to the point where it's probably annoying at this point. But it's a lot easier to shoot over a 6'2" dude with a 6'5" wingspan than it is to shoot over a 6'8" dude with a 7-foot wingspan. It changes the way you shoot. It's, believe it or not, taller guy, harder to shoot over.
Get out of town.
So it's not meant to be disrespectful towards Davion or even Devin Carter. I know he has a 6'8", almost 6'9" wingspan, which is amazing.
It's incredible.
It's
he plays much bigger than 6'2".
100% he does.
Yeah.
But the Kings need more guys that when you're closing out on a shooter, you don't have to be all up in his business all the time. But if you're closing out on a scramble drill, you can probably change their shot and affect their shot a little bit more.
A little bit.
Because giving up 40+% from 3-point range every single night ain't going to cut it.
No.
And that's what happened all season long. That's what kept the Kings from being a top 10 defense, was that alone.
But between tall players are better than short players and good players are better than bad players, which was my take yesterday. I don't know why anybody would need another program, to be honest.
That's true. I mean,
we're just locked in.
Pretty straight.
I do think that's something that gets kind of lost though in the NBA with kind of the small ball revolution or whatever, where a size in a sport for tall people is still very important. Like, it matters a lot.
Yeah.
So that's got to be priority one
for sure.